Good evening and welcome to RaceTech F1. It is time to get ready for what is round 2 in this championship for a prize pool of €1,000. Of course, that is for the teams. Let's not forget that the drivers are also competing for their own reward, €500 for that top spot, which is currently held by none other than Alvaro Carreton. But like I mentioned, it is time for round 2. Now, ignore the title. It is not round 1 Belgium. It is round 2, and we get ourselves over to the mighty Suzuka circuit over in Japan. With its 5.807 kilometer long circuit, 18 turns and only one DRS zone that you can use to aid you along in any overtakes that you plan to make here at this circuit. It's very difficult, very tricky, and especially in Sector 1 when you come up against those S's, you need to keep it nice, tight, do not deviate from that racing line, too much apex, and you are going for a spin. That is an absolute fact. My name is Corey Brooks, I'm your commentator for this evening. I'm very excited to be here. It's my first time here in RaceTech to get us going for round 2 in Season 2, and so far the championship is open to anybody. It can go anywhere. It's still early days. Now, as you know, there is a heightened point here in this championship, so it gives more incentive for those drivers to hit that checkered flag. Every point matters, all the way down to P19. But like we mentioned, it is Alvaro Carreton leading the way, but it's R8G that hold that top spot in the constructors standings. We have our full qualifying session Q1, Q2 and Q3 to come your way, which will see 5 drivers dropped in the first, 5 drivers dropped in the second, and then that 10 car shootout for the lovely starting position of pole position. And other than that, we have 27 laps of racing action yet to come your way after we get through our lobby restart. But the drivers have gracefully taken themselves to the track. We're about to get going for what will be our 18 minutes of qualifying 1. Don't go anywhere, the action is about to begin. And we are track side. Let's get things up and displayed so people can see. We're very happy with how they are. It is indeed, it is indeed. The Corey Brooks live stream coming right for you. Here we are in RaceTech. First time here, and I'm very excited to be here. And already we do see quite a few cars hitting the track, getting out there and ready to get underway. Qualifying 1. Intermediate tyres on there because they want to save those softs. They want to save that rubber and all that grip and every advantage that they may hold for that final qualifying session. That could make the difference. That could mean everything here in the order of how things are supposed to be. As I mentioned, Carreton had a nice race, a nice strategy in what was a mixed conditions as well qualifying. Let's not forget that in Belgium. And Suzuka is known to bring its spot of bad weather, its spot of rain along the way. So keep your eyes peeled on those skies. It could yet to happen in the race. But for now, we're going strong, we're going calmly, and everybody is getting out there, getting themselves nice and warmed up. We have a nice 18 minutes. Get yourself into the zone, into the pattern, into the swing of racing action, and then we will get underway for what will be that beautiful 27 laps. We are just sticking on board and staying on as we watch Fabrizio Donoso come out of the final couple of corners, which will be starting his first timed lap. Now, bear with me a second, I apologise, it's just going to tab us out for a brief second, but we will get straight back into it ever shortly. And here we go, ready for Donoso's first intermediate lap. Let's see what sort of pace we'll get underway. I quite like to see the intermediate runs. It really gives you a sense of perspective on how aggressive you can be on a tyre that's not made for it, but you've also got to be cautious because as you go flat out, the heat starts pumping into that softer, more brittle compound of the intermediate tyre. It's what it's there for. It's there to hold more heat rather than disperse the heat. It needs to hold it, getting used to driving in ever-cooling conditions, the track surface, cooling the tyre down every time you go across the surface itself. You have surface water constantly trying to fight aggressive against the rubber. But as we look at Fabrizio Donoso there, running wide as we get going into the Degner curve, so to turn number 8 up towards the hairpin now around turn 11. Donoso's lap's not going to be too competitive on the intermediate side. Who else can we have a look at? We'll have a look at Pasquale Ranelli, who's just behind that Mercedes branded car for Fabrizio Donoso, the TRT driver. as we look on at Pasquale Ranelli now, this certainly should be somewhat more of a competitive intermediate time. Didn't have that issue that we saw from Fabrizio Donoso just a couple corners ago. You see that purple sector time coming in on those inters, but the cars behind also running the same fate. Head of the final corner, Pasquale Ranelli, a 31.1 on intermediates. Not a bad time. Go on, son. Well, I think you'd be happy with that one. I'd certainly be happy with that one. We'll take a look further back. There's a lot of drivers getting themselves back into the pit lane. It is Tomasetto Alea who will cross the line as well to set 31.8. We have Joe Marquardt, 31.3. And Jan Halliday, straight to the top. P2 last time out in no, he wasn't. That was Julian Claffinbot. I apologise. But I saw something in the chat today. It was a little clip that some of the drivers have put together. A nice little meme or something to happen. But I'm going to keep that under the rug. If you've seen the Discord, you know what I'm talking about. But Alexander Damas puts in that 31.9. Nando Moreira at 31.7. And Jan Halliday taking the fastest time on the intermediate tyres with a 30.9. Nobody else is going to try and push for it and go out and try and get a competitive time. But what about Jordan Mopti? He's certainly going out. And is it intermediate tyres? Are we seeing a red wall? There we go. The red wall is on. Jordan Mopti is out on the softs. And we'll have our first time to hit the timing screen that will be the banker time to beat for every other driver that has chosen to just wait it out a little longer. You see these things happen more and more often, especially in full qualifying sessions. The drivers don't have the tyres to do multiple laps, not like real life, not where you can go out and do one run, then do another run and do another run. In qualifying one, you've got to preserve that rubber. Sometimes you see some teams do as much as 3 runs in the first qualifying session. They'll keep running that used rubber because they do have the advantage. Not in the game. As soon as you burn out that first lap, there is no advantage you could potentially gain after that. But we keep our eyes on board with Jordan Mopti. He's about to hit the checkered flag and give us our first banker time. Out of the final corner we go. Timing board has been lit up. The countdown timer ticks away. Or should I say the clock ticks away. As we come around the first curve, back around turn 2, keeping clear of the apex but not on the exit. The exit, you need to run it a little bit wide, and here you go, just tagging the apexes through the S-curves around 4, 5 now. Coming back up around 16, well and truly wide of that apex. You can't risk letting that rear tyre touch it. You will certainly get yourself around and in a spin, and Jordan Mopti's dealt with sector 1 very, very nicely, and he's now coming up towards the Degner curves. All over the shore in Degner 1! That is not good for the VRM driver, Vroom driver, who sit themselves down at the bottom of the standings, only scoring 10 points in round 1. But for Jordan Mopti, that's a disaster opening lap for sure. That's a good question, Nathan. I don't entirely know who Jordan Mopti is or Max Moreau. I don't know how to say that. My first time seeing it. 2 new drivers who've probably been taken into Vroom and are here to show their pace to see what they're capable of. But Jordan Mopti already has had that disaster lap. We'll go on board with his teammate, who is on the soft tyres as well. Gets out off turn number 2 and he's faced with the S's, just like his teammate of just a few moments ago. Like Bordeaux. Alright. Oh, there's a spin coming out of turn 6, off and into the gravel. There he goes. Max Morale is gone. That lap is well and truly dusted. That just goes to show you how careful you've got to be in sector 1 on these S's. You've got to be very, very cautious on entry, on exit. Stay away from the apexes. Cautious on the throttle, especially with how much speed you're going to carry through those turns. You sort of feather in the throttle, especially. You flick it round 1, back on the throttle, ease it off slightly, flick back around to the right, and as you come up towards turn 6, flick it again, but keep your foot pinned. And as you upshift, you can snag that little bit of torque. It light up to the rears and you go for a spin. Unfortunate there for Max. Ryan Bakar, next driver to come out. The Alpine branded car will be showing us away with the next lap time. Everybody else waiting that clock down, preserving those tyres for what could be the Q2 exit, if not the chance at pole position in qualifying 3. But for now, qualifying 1, as you sort of expect, because like I mentioned, they have to save those tyres, they have to preserve that rubber. They wait it out, they just count down the clock, come out on the intermediates, give it a little bit of a warm-up session, make sure your setup is fully working as well. That's also crucial. The loss of force feedback has been some race enders in the past, especially in championships like this one. You see the FFB just die for half a second, the car goes straight, and you're into the barrier, and you're done for. So a test and installation lap, as a lot of drivers have done, that didn't hit the checkered flag, just to make sure all their equipment is up and working, their setups are applied, and they're ready to go for qualifying. Here you see the grace of the grid. Every driver now flooding out, and the traffic starts to form as the drivers prepare themselves for the initial bankers. That's more than what can be said about those who've done those intermediate runs, but for Ryan Bakar did not. Has waited it out and is now looking to seek a free track to set the perfect time, which could guarantee that Q2 entry. Slowing down at the Casio triangle. Nice and cautious, making sure the line is right before you're flat to the floor now. Out of the final corner, pick up as much speed as you can, because it's going to aid you all the way down. Checkered flag gets hit and the timer starts. Sends it big, wide, running it into turn 1, collecting back around turn 2, picking up that exit apex as you see a lot of the drivers do. And now here we go, taking a lot of entry, a lot of apex on the entry there into turn number 3, more than you'd expect to see from some drivers. But for Ryan Bakar, certainly feel confident enough to hold that limit to the absolute max, as now we come out of turn number 6 and 7, and no disaster thus far than we've seen from previous drivers, as well as we get through Degner curve turn 8, a little bit of a wobble out of turn 9, but for the Alpine branded car, not too shabby indeed of a first sector. Going strong now, midway through the second sector, out of the hairpin and flat to the floor around 130R. Or 200R even. And here we go, back around Spoon Curve, 13 and 14, double left-hander, which is, again, cautious on the throttle on the exit. You're trying to pick up the traction as soon as possible, but it's very, very easy to line up the rear tyres and set yourself round for a spin if you're just a little bit too quick. If not, you pick up that understeer and up running wide, the lap's invalid, the lap is done, and you're seeing yourself back into the pits now, harsh on the brakes, into the Casio triangle, picking up that apex, flick it back around to the left, and get yourself firing on the throttle, or in the right, long sweeping final corner to hit the checkered flag. It's a 26.1, the banker time to beat. Further back, we do see one of the Haas branded cars coming through. That is Max to start his lap. Who's next to set a lap? We'll take a look at one of the Red Bulls, at Pascal Renelle. It is indeed. What sort of pace can we see from Renelle as he comes out of that long sweeping final corner, hits the checkered flag? It's P2, a 26.2, as more cars start powering to the checkered flag. Tomasetto Alea, 25.9, first driver to break into the 25s. Certainly will not be the last. Nelson Alves, 26 flat, just shy of breaking into that 25 time. We will be looking to chase what could be the second victory of this season, whereas Tomas Gal sets a new time to beat Julian Klaffenbach, his teammate, falling ever short by half a second there with a 26.2. Not too good for Julian Klaffenbach. Tomas Gal certainly showing that he's got some mighty fine pace. Rapassa, 26.2. Shinaka Clay, 26.1. The other drivers crossing that line, Oscar Ferraheim, 26.3 were Marquardt, and then further back, Labella into the 26.5. Santana, a 26.7. Alexander Damas just puts in a 26.5. All the drivers now looking to improve their worth as we take a look at Navarro Caraton, who takes it up to P2 with a 25.8, just falling just shy of a tenth behind Tomas Gal. That's one corner, one good exit line, and Caraton is jumping back up to the top there. All in all, opening bankers not looking too shabby, if I've got to say so myself. Only Jordan Mopti struggling to get a time on the board. Jan Halliday is waiting out a little bit longer. He's only going to use the one set of tyres at the final moment when the track evolution comes at its peak, at its best. That is when you'll see the best produced times. And as we go through the qualifying sessions, the times are yet to surely only ever improve. But for now, Tomas Gal holds that top spot as everybody makes their way back into the pit lane, and we wait for what could be Jean Halliday's chance to jump to the top, or Jordan Mopty's chance to jump ever higher than that bottom spot. No time on the board, no pressure felt so far, because he's certainly not looking to dive onto the track and set any sort of time. We can only see caution in Sector 2 and 3. We can't see how long he's left of qualifying, but when we do, we'll have a better idea of when we shall expect to see Halliday and Jordan Mopty take themselves to the track. All in all, opening parts of qualifying have been rather satisfying. Tomas Gal, feeling ever confident, is under no threat of being demoted out of qualifying 1 and into that bottom 5. Feels confident enough to retire in the pit lane. It says my 25.7 may be beaten, but it will not be beaten, to down to P15. I won't surprise me to see Caraton follow suit, even Alea, but those that have not broke into that 25 time are certainly going to be thinking like they need to. But if you look at the pace difference down to P18, it's almost a second from Caraton. So there is major inroads to be gained from some of these drivers. Jan Halliday certainly does not have a time on the board respective of the driver's pace, and Jordan Mopty is yet to show us what sort of pace he's got. That first opening lap on the soft tyres, having that huge moment in turn number 8, getting into the Degners, and it was just unfortunate, cost Jordan Mopty his lap. Now, we do know there is a restart, so if they've gone softer or harder allocation, one of the two, you get 4 sets of soft tyres to use in qualifying. So Jordan Mopty needs to have presumably taken that allocation and will have an extra set just to be able to use, but that will diminish chances if they ever got to qualifying 3. What will happen here? Now we see Halliday and Mopty, the Aston Martin branded car for TES and the Haas branded car for VRM, I think grace the tarmac. We're on board with Julian Klaffenbach. Not happy with that time. He's also making it down pit lane. And so you see Halliday, he's well and truly out with Jordan Mopty. They avoided all that traffic, and we will go on board with Halliday to see what sort of pace we can expect from the TES driver. I'm going to be honest, so I came in here now because this might make a few people laugh. I don't use OBS because it's always broke on me. It's never worked right. I have used a JCon file, whatever that thing is, from our good friend Sappy, got it all set up, and it's actually working, and I'm so satisfied you've got no idea. I would have had to set all of this up on Streamlabs, but I have managed to get this set up with all the assets and stuff perfectly using OBS. OBS is working, I'm happy. It's the first time I've ever used it successfully. So that we can say. It looks like Halliday's falling down. A couple drivers have overtaken. They want to be the first to set their laps. We have 1 minute and 40 seconds to go before that checkered flag waves, and these drivers have absolutely no time. Well, there is plenty of time to get yourselves back around and get to the checkered flag to start your laps. So Halliday could just wait it out and be the car at the back for that track evolution advantage. I've mentioned it before. It's also crucial in qualifying. You don't realise how crucial it is until you have it and you see you can gain a 10th just on this track evolution alone. We're on board with Alexander Damas for Venturi, and as we watch on board now to see what sort of pace can come their way, will they get out of that bottom 5? Will they no longer be at threat of relegation in qualifying 1? And will they secure a qualifying 2 spot? Out of turn 2 we go, pushing on into the S section, which has been ever so treacherous for some drivers. We'll get an onboard camera shot here of Damas. Goes firing over the apexes, taking them, but as we come back around 6, it is well and truly clear. Hot on the throttle, back around turn number 7, and does not drop it, as we saw the Vroom drivers do just a good 10 minutes ago. On board with Damas, out of Degner 2 we go. Oh, a little bit of a wobble coming out over that exit curb. It's expected, the car's running so low, that curb can lift it up and just cause you to lose a bit of rear stability. But for Damas, out of the hairpin, hot on the throttle once again. Out of 200 hour we go, and up towards Spoon Curve. Rather excited to see how the race is going to go. But we've still got 2 more qualifying sessions to grace you with. This is where things get a little bit hot and spicy as the drivers are challenging each other for pole position. Tomas Gal, well and truly asserting themselves as one of the fastest in qualifying 1. Demas is finding a half-second improvement coming out of sector 2. What sort of improvement can we see out of the final sector? Not a lot of corners to gain any time, but flat and to the throttle. Burn the battery, hit the checkered flag, over half a second has been gained. It's a 26-1. But for Jordan Mopte, he's out. That's it, P18, and may potentially drop ever further from his teammate Max and Halliday. That could be bottom of the grid for Jordan Mopte, only good enough for a 27 flat. Julian Klaffenbach secured into qualifying 2 with that P6 for Valentino Labella. Labella's having a stinker though, only good enough for P14. He's at huge risk of being dropped. Oscar Ferreheim has been dropped and he's now into the bottom 5. Nando Moreira into P15 by the skin of his teeth. But we've still got the TF10 drivers to hit the checkered flag. Could drop down Moreira and could drop down Valentino Labella. There goes Moreira. Labella now praying that Marquardt can't do anything about it. And Marquardt does just knock Labella out of qualifying by the fringes. 0.003 of a second. Labella's going to be kicking himself if he couldn't find that time. Joel Marquardt just holds on by a herd's width. Well done indeed for the TF10 drivers. But there we have it. Your top 15 making it through. Tomas Gal, fastest of the lot. 12 thousandths of a second to Jean Halliday, Alvaro Caraton, Rapassa, Tomasetto Alea, Fabricio Donoso, Pascal Irinelli, Ryan Bakar, Nelson Alves, Julian Klaffenbach, Alexander Demas, Declan Barrett, Shanaka Clare, Alex Santana and Joe Marquardt will see us all to qualifying 2, being dropped out of it. Labella, Moreira, Ferreheim, Mopte and Morale. Unfortunate for those, but the Vroom drivers were not doing too good here, especially in qualifying 1. They can pray and hope they will have a better race for themselves, but that is so unfortunate for Labella. That is a disaster. Was not expecting to see the TRT driver be knocked out in qualifying 1, and by just a few thousandths of a second. It's all so close, it's all so tight, and it's the thousandths that matter in qualifying. Now we get ourselves ready. For qualifying 2, 15 minutes, and another set of tyres to use to what could be your spot of 10 drivers fighting it out for that front row spot, the favoured pole position. Start yourself off at the front, get the best start and secure what could be race victory. Assert yourself as the best over the rest, especially if it's track dependent. Just having a little breather and a sip of my coffee. Solo comms, so there's nobody to take over, so I'll go silent all of a sudden, just for a couple moments, just while I have a sip of coffee, just to wet my singing voice, make sure I don't lose it and end up in a situation where I've got a croaky voice and the stream sounds very strange and weird. Oh, I love coffee. Isn't coffee just the best beverage ever? Whoever actually designed this, whoever thought about taking coffee beans, grinding them up, and straining them through water, add a little bit of sugar and milk, gives the perfect beverage. Oh, beautiful stuff. Now, who will be the first to take us away? It's one of the TF10 drivers. We'll take a look at Santana, not leading the way. It will be Joe Marquardt, who barely made it through by the skin of his teeth, finding 0.003 of a second over Labella. What sort of pace can we expect now? You've got a second chance to get ever higher in the standings, but this may be your only chance. 5 more drivers yet to be dropped here in qualifying 2, and everybody's already out there, except from Tomas Gal, has already asserted dominance in qualifying 1. He's letting these lot run it out and saving the extra set of tyres for what could be purely a fight for pole in qualifying 3. Joe Marquardt, a little bit of a wobble though in turn 2, maybe just a little bit too quick on the throttle. The tyres not up to their optimum temperature just yet. Has got to play it cautious through this first sector as the heat starts pumping in and generating into those softs. Around turn 7 we go. No struggles, no wobbles, no squabbles. for Joe Marquardt as we get into the Degners. Keeps it within the lines, as we've seen in qualifying one. Some drivers struggle there in that opening part of the Degner curves, but dealt with nicely by Marquardt. Up into the hairpin, really throwing the car in, trying to get it to rotate, trying to maximise that exit speed, and quick on the throttle once again around 200R. Everything's looking nice and squared away for the TF10 driver. Marquardt looking to set what could be the time to beat here. Oh no, big moment. Well, I would say big moment. Bit of an unfortunate moment. It certainly cost a 10th on Marquardt's time, having a little bit of a squiggle and a wiggle coming out of Spoon Curve. He's now out of 130R, flat to the floor. I knew he would break. He has a wife and kids at home. The famous Alonso Curve. As we get going out of the Casio Triangle. Just one more sweeping right-handed to go between Joe Marquardt and what could be a favoured time. That's definitely a used set of tyres, set at 26.7. We were seeing that pace early on as Declan Barrett sets to 26.3, Halliday 26.3, Alvaro Carreton 26.2, Donoso 32.3. So he's had a double out lap from Donoso. Are we going to see the push lap come now from the TRT driver? No, we're not. That's a disaster lap from Donoso as more drivers have hit that checkered flag. Thomas Seto, 26.3, following Shinaka Clay's route and Declan Barrett's route. Julian Klaffenbach, 26.2, following the likes of Alvaro Carreton. As you see Alexander Demas and Rayan Bakar just falling short of those in the top 6. Everybody else into the pits, and that is it for your first wave of laps. Everybody settling down a little bit, just holding the rhythm strong and waiting down that clock. That's all it is in full qualifying for a lot of drivers. They don't have the tyres to use. Not in that sense, not to their advantage. They could practice what could be, what it feels like on the mediums, what it feels like on the hards, but the setup in the race could well and truly also be different. The qualifying setups are there to find the maximum pace, while the race setups are there to find the maximum tyre life, but not sacrifice too much pace. You want to be able to keep the tyres fresher for longer, enabling you to push harder for longer, and also defend if you need it. If you have one of your rivals chasing you down, he's all over that rear diffuser, he's putting the pressure on. There's a 5-place grid penalty. It's a good thing that we do have a lobby reset. Klaffenbach has been hit with an unfair 5-place grid drop. The game likes to do this quite a lot, but you know, we can work this out. We can work around this. It happens. The FIA for EA are very harsh, and that's why a lot of championships like this have their own stewarding team. Things are settling down a little bit, just running a little bit quieter, as again, like we say, we're waiting down that clock, counting it down, being patient and ever waiting, ever eager to see where the fight is going to be. A passer to Pascal Irinelli, all the way to hit the tarmac and give us a lap. As we look on board, Pascal Irinelli coming out of the Casio Triangle now, about to set what will be the first time lap for this driver. It's that checkered flag, and away we go. I can only assume that these two are the Veloce Academy drivers who went out in Q1. Yes, yeah, to be specific, no drivers. And if you're from Vroom, bottom of the grid. Oh, a little bit further back, I think we've got a race on our hands. We have a McLaren and a Mercedes, giving a little bit of aggression out of the hairpin there. We're still on board with Pascal Irinelli though, who's coming through the Spoon curve, setting the first time lap of the session. So, Leo, are you with Veloce Academy? I'm guessing. I can see you in the chat talking away to Will Gibson there. He isn't. He's with Vroom. Okay. I'll just presume that he's with Veloce, and we'll just roll with that for now. Pascal Ivanelli set a time worthy of 26.4. Tomas Gal will go on board with, coming out of the hairpin now. Was the driver to set the fastest time in qualifying 1? Will there be a fastest time in qualifying 2 for the IR8G driver who's coming here to look to help their team along in the constructors? You cannot count the driver out in any form of championship yet. It is round 2. Round 1 has only just been elapsed, and round 2 is getting underway. The championship is wide open for any driver. Heightened points starting at 32 all the way down to 1 for P19. So it is well up in the air. Tomas Gal could score some much needed, much crucial points in a driver's perspective, but he's had a moment coming out of the final corner, hooked it a little bit tight to the curb, but was still good enough for the fastest time in this session. And I think it's not as fast as the Q1 time, but it's mighty close indeed. Take a little look further back. Alex Santana now about to hit the line. Set the first time of the session. Jumps up to P2 with a 26.1. Beautiful time. Teammates about to follow suit. Joe Marquardt falls just behind by a few hundredths of a second. And then we see Fabricio Donoso takes the fastest time. Shanaka Clare up to P4 with a 26.1 as well. Just hundredths and thousandths separating these drivers. Alvaro Caratongo's quicker still by just under 0.2 of a second. More drivers to hit the line. Julian Klaffenbach will be next to Grace. Why has he done that? I was trying to get us on board with Klaffenbach, who was invalidated that time and has hit the pit lane. We'll see Alexander Damas now hit the checkered flag. Good enough for P8 out of that bottom 5, which is good enough to secure what could be a Q3 entry, but he's now on the fringes, on the cusp, and has been dropped by Declan Barrett. Nelson Alves as well up there into P4, as I think we saw Tomasetto Alea up to P7 as well. So good lap times to grace the grid. Everybody's got a decent time on the board, apart from both Veloce Academy drivers down at the bottom. They need to find a little bit more pace if they want to get into Q3. Julian Klaffenbach, not relative of pace we've seen in the past, took a P2 last time out. He's now struggling here in Japan, only good enough for P13 in qualifying 2. Needs to certainly improve on that. I will not see Q3, Alexander Damas and Joe Marquardt. Marquardt barely made it through Q2 by just a few thousandths of a second. So he's going to have to fight very, very hard to find some more time to try and get into Q3. Alex Santana doing very well there to get into that top 10, but not by a lot. Shanaka Clare just right behind and lurking. This for Joe Marquardt to try and knock out Shanaka Clare when we get ready for the final closing minutes of qualifying 2. Then we'll have our 12-minute 10-driver shootout for pole position, and that's where things get spicy, that's where things get interesting, that's where things get a little bit rough for tumble. Quite enjoying this. Been a nice opening qualifying session. Goes on for quite a while. Why is it censored? If that says Tomas Gal, why is it censored his last name? That's very strange of Twitch. Okay. Can confirm. Thank you for the confirmation. We're on board with Jean Halliday, who's gone round again. Interesting strategy for Jan Halliday. But he's sat there in P2, looking like a firm, secure position for entry into Q3. Doubt anybody behind can drop him down and break that 25.7 time. And more looking towards the likes of Damas, Marquardt. Rapassa's struggling more than I thought he would. But they are on their out laps. They are getting themselves ready. Ryan Bakar feels confident enough that he's retired. And he's going to sit this one out and watch these final laps and see who can place themselves ever higher. You see this big, beefy train coming through the S's. Little bit of contact there. Was that between the drivers or was that bottoming out from the car? I'd expect collisions to be off if there's a lobby restart. Jan Halliday, following suit, will retire from this session and we'll wait it out for qualifying 3 to come his way. Leading the pack, Alexander Damas for Venturi Esports, waiting for what could be a chance at Q3, a chance at pole, or could just be heartache and nothing more than P11. Here we go. Alexander Damas. Final run for you. And for Venturi in qualifying 2 is about to begin. You hear the checkered flag. The timer starts. The rear wing is open. The one and only place you'll be DRS aided. The one and only place you'll most likely see the overtaking action happen. It's all about the run that you can get out of that final curve. Sticking hot to the rear diffuser of your rival ahead. Open that rear wing, burn the battery and make an easy pass. And Alexander Damas is fighting now through these S's. Out of turn 6. Can you keep it planted and keep it on the track in turn 7? We've seen drivers run wide in qualifying 1. Qualifying 2, nobody has been so unfortunate. Damas finding just under a 10th in sector 1. A little bit squabbly, a little bit squirrely coming out of Degner 1 and through Degner 2. But as we get going up towards the hairpin, is there any more time to find? We'll have to wait for that sector 2 split, which will come at you just before we get to 130R. Well, now out of 200R we go, and up towards Spoon Curve, where you've just got to fire it around the double left-hander, cautious on the throttle, cautious with the apexes. You need to keep the car as stable as possible and get quick on that throttle to maximise the exit line because you need all the speed. Carry it through 130R and find all the time you can. Almost a 10.5 improvement. This could see Damas break into the 125 times, but not by a lot. By just a few her width of time. Can Damas hold it out of the final corner? Burn what left of the battery you've got. Here's the checkered flag. Just falls short of a 25 time. A 26, you can almost call it flat. It secures P9. Joe Marquardt is out. Well and truly done. No time gain. Tomas Gal secures the fastest spot once again, asserting dominance here in qualifying 2. Fabricio Donoso, 2,000ths of a second shy of taking the fastest time here in qualifying 2. Donoso looking like a worthy contender to fight Gal for what could be the fight for pole position. But let's not count out Klaffenbach as Alvaro Caraton goes half a 10th quicker and takes the fastest time in qualifying 2. And we'll take a quick little look at the final results now and see who has been dropped and who has this 10-car shootout for pole position. Alvaro Caraton takes the fastest time by just under half a 10th. Tomas Gal, 2,000ths of a second split from Donoso, Julian Klaffenbach, Jan Halliday, Ryan Bakar, Tomasetto Olea, Nelson Alves, Shinaka Clay, and Luca Rapassa fighting out for pole position. Declan Barrett, Damas, Alex Santana, Joe Marquardt, and Pascal Ranelli shall not see it. We'll have to wait it out and watch it out for the final 12 minutes. Both TF10 drivers eliminated from qualifying. Ooh. Now it gets spicy. Now it gets dicey. Now it gets rough. This is where you may see the drivers spin, may see them hit the barrier and fumble their laps as they really push to the limit, a testament to their talent as they find every 1,000th, every 100th and every 10th of time that they can in the final parts of qualifying. 12 minutes to go. to set your grid, determine the next 27 laps of what could be strategy, racing, and aggression perfection for some drivers, because this is where it's at. Oh, nice little breather. They get ready for this. Get our laps, our lap times on the screen. Get rid of that bottom graphic. And now here we see already maybe and Halliday or Alea to come out and set a banker. If not a banker, just make sure they're nice and warmed up to push hard for what could be their chance at pole position. And for Halliday, from what we saw from the qualifying 2 pace, certainly well and truly could be on the cards. Was only a 10th away from what could be pole position. That's one good corner. That's one good exit line. That's maybe just a little bit more battery over your rival ahead, and that secures pole position. That is all it takes. And in a track like Suzuka, where the corners come at you hard, they come at you aggressive, where the car's running so low that you need to avoid those apexes of risk bottoming out and spinning out. All out aggression is needed here in qualifying. Of course, they may not run the same setups in the race. They may have a specific race setup that will manage the tyres a lot more efficiently and effectively. But when they are out there for what could be a 13 to 16, maybe even 17 lap stint, depending if you start mediums, depending if you start hards, depending on your strategy. The drivers have got their setups ready. Be sure of that. Now we stay on board. Jan Halliday is going to bring us along out of the Casio Triangle, making sure nice and prepared, looking at the brake bias, looking at the battery deployment state, making sure that you are on full fuel, not lean, if you're into saving the fuel, that is. No. Oh, into the pits. Jan Halliday, he's not going to settle up. We'll wait a little bit longer. More cars now will grace us on the grid. Starting out with Tomasato Alea coming into Sector 2 now on the 8 lap. They're around the Degnas we go. Just getting themselves nice and warmed up. Just hit around about 9 minutes in qualifying left to go. So if you run this on a timer scale, I say you have around about a 5-minute time for when you set a lap. So you have, what, a minute and a half for your 8 lap, a minute and a half lap, and then a minute and a half in lap. If you keep at the same pace, obviously you'll pull back some seconds in lieu with your qualifying lap itself. But I say you have 5 minutes per lap. So with the way they're coming out now, if they do make a mistake, dive back into the pit lane, wait just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, 2.5 minutes maximum, before you can come out once again and set your final run. But now every driver is on the grid. 10 cars to take us away with laps to fight it out for what could be pole position. You see Alea weaving left and right, making sure to get every scrap of temperature they can into the tyre, get that compound fired up and working as we get powered out of the final corner. Batteries deployed, rear wing shall be opened, the checkered flag has been crossed, and the timer starts. Around turn 1, collected around turn 2, wide over the apex, almost outside the white lines, did very, very well not to invalidate that lap, did Alea, and as we get going through these tight, twisty S sections, keeping clear of some curbs, taking others, you've got to be cautious and pick your moments right. Out of turn 7 we go, which has seen qualifying 1 incident, qualifying 2 and 3, we've seen no such fate. Oh, invalidation at the Degnas, coming towards Degna 2, all over the place on the exit out of Degna 1, and that's an invalidation for the TES driver, but with plenty of time in lieu, can get back down that pit lane and set another lap. Plenty of time to do so. We'll take another look at anybody else looking to set a time. Could that be Shanaka Clay? It is indeed. Out of turn 7 we go. flat to the floor towards Degner. Will we see a similar fate? Sends it hard into the first part, collected out of the second, no squabble, no wobble out of turn number 9 and up towards the hairpin we go. Harsh, collected, calm, around nice and tight to the apex, quick on the throttle on the exit, and needs to keep himself nice and calm and collected out of 200R because you've got spoon curve to come your way. Make sure you have the optimum, perfect, pristine racing line to make sure you can maximize your exit speed and get quick on the throttle. Running wide of the lines, that's where you find every ounce of time is within track limits, and towards 130R we go. Looking good, it's looking competitive, it's looking racy for Shanaka Clay as we come towards the Casio Triangle. Really sends it hard over the first part. Turn 17 was not shy of any aggression, and it's a 25.6. That's a very competitive time from Shanaka Clay. Immediately jumped by Nelson Alves by just shy of half a tenth. We'll take a look at Ryan Bakar, who was invalidated on that lap. What about Luca Rapace up to P2, and Tomas Gal out of the final corner we go has been fastest in qualifying 1. Now has Nelson Alves to answer 2 in qualifying 2, and in qualifying 3. 5 thousandths of a second splits the 2. These could be rivals going all the way through this Grand Prix. What about Alvaro Caraton? Does Caraton have any sort of response? Can they jump to the top and prove that Williams Esports has the drivers to take this championship? Hits that checkered flag, and it is the fastest by half a tenth again. So once again, Alvaro Caraton securing a fastest lap. Q2 went to Caraton, Q3 and pole position could well and truly go to Caraton, and looking like to set up well for 2 victories in a row. Took a round 1 victory and he's looking to secure that chance again here in round 2. Nelson Alves did not finish the race in Belgium, but if he did, could it have been a 1-2 for Williams and a 3-4 for R8G, or will we see a similar fate? 1-2 Williams, or maybe even a 1 for Williams and a 2-3 for R8G. Keep your eyes peeled for the action that is yet to come your way. Oh, this sets up well. It's the makings of an origin story. The battle of teams. It's R8G versus Williams. Williams holding the drivers' standings with Alvaro Caraton, with the team standings, the constructors' standings are held by R8G. Williams have yet to score a further couple points to secure P2 in the constructors. It is SCI that holding out on 34. R8G holding the top on 51. You can take a quick little rundown, and I'm going to run you quickly through where people are. So in the constructors, leading R8G by 51, SCI Shizu Sadar Igniters on 34, Williams on 32, Thomas NG Sim Racing on 23, Veloci Academy on 20, Venturai 18, TF10 on 17, leveling out with Tatum and FVR, and then at the bottom you have Vroom on 10. In terms of the drivers' standings, Alvaro Caraton leads out on 32 points. Julian Klaffenbach with his teammate in 2 and 3. Julian on 27. Joris Krozen on 24. Shanaka Clay on 22. Luca Rapace on 20. Jan Halliday on 18. Stephen Vassell 16. Gabriel Quintino 14. Francesco Largo 12. Valentino Labella surprise Q1 exit, just being knocked out by the skin of his teeth on 10 points. Alex Santana on 9. Alexander Kraft on 8. Gianluca on 7. Jeremy Galania on 6. Dennis Lanrock 5. Alessandro Bionde on 4. Declan Barrett on 3. Lucas Shear on 2. And Nelson Alves, Sergio Sabrino did not finish round 1, are on 0 points in the standings. Well, Caraton looking very, very racy, very, very challenging indeed in this early parts of qualifying 3. Even in qualifying 2, taking the fastest lap, he's looking to bring the fight to Tomas Gal. Jan Halliday is just lurking behind. Now, like I mentioned, we saw a little bit of a video in the chat. If you're not in the Discord, in the event chat, then you wouldn't have seen it. But it says that potentially
I think it was Nelson and Jan Halliday are going to fight it out for the lead and the victory. But that's a wild bull prediction, and with the way qualifying's looking, it's Caraton who's going to be fighting it out against Jan Halliday. But Nelson Alves is not out of the woods yet. Can only hope for a better result this time out in round 2 than was seen in round 1 with the DNF. Nelson Alves needs to get some points to help his team along. You cannot let R8G secure another double podium. That will just further put them ahead by another 51 points. And that is not something they can afford to risk. And now here we go. Things are starting to happen. Drivers are gracing us as we hit 1 minute 40 seconds to go in Q3. Things are starting to ramp up. Things are starting to spice up. We'll go on board with Tomasetto Olea, who will take us away with the first time lap. Whoa, excited. Very excited to see the way things may pan out here. And out of character. I'm excited to see maybe an incident into turn 1. You know, just between me and you, me and the chat, me and the viewers. You know, turn 1 collision, maybe pile up, maybe carnage. Expected. It's Japan. Expect it. And here we go. Tomasetto Olea crossing the checkered flag, gets that timer going for what could be the pole position worthy lap. Or not for the TES driver, because he's got some big names to contend with. But we get going out of turn 2, running almost wide of the white lines, barely keeps it within, and no invalidations come the way for the TES driver. Gets going out of the S's, nice and bonny, nice and collected, nice and calm as well. Not looking to be under any threat. Kept it well away from the apex there on the exit of turn 7, and a Dunlop curve, and up towards the Degner as we go, around turn 8. Does not take too much exit apex, which has seen a lot of drivers all over the show with how low the car has been running. They are skateboarding over that apex, the raised apex that can really unsettle the car and really compromise your exit out of turn 9. But out of the hairpin we go, and up towards 200R for Tomasetto Olea. What sort of improvement can we see on a previous time set in qualifying? No time set here in Q3. It's a one-shot for the TES driver and a big, bold risk, to say the least. But the worst you can do is P10, and that's the mid-pack. You're not at the back of the grid. You're just smack bang in the middle. But it looks like it is a purple Sector 2. Could that be the fastest Sector 2, which could be dethroned by all those behind? He's certainly not got the track evolution as its peak. I don't know who has. Whoever's at the back of the field, Ryan Bakar, I believe, will have the best track positions. But it is P7 for Tomasetto Olea, a 25.699. And we'll look on at his teammate, Jan Halliday, chasing pole position, up by a 10th. It could be pole for Jan Halliday, but Caraton is also on a lap looking to respond. It is pole for Halliday, a 25.374. The time to beat Donoso, falling short by a 10th. We go on board with Caraton, and the chase for pole position, as we do see the R8G driver hit the line. Tomascal's only good enough for P2, but Caraton does not improve, does improve, but moves nowhere. It's Jan Halliday who takes pole position. Can anybody else challenge? No, they cannot, and that is it. Surprise, surprise. Caraton, looking fast, looking racy, looking pacey. It's only good enough for P4 as Jan Halliday takes the fastest time. Tomascal just falls short. And look how close it also is. You cannot count out the TRT driver. He's looking for a podium here tonight. Caraton looked very racy, but was not able to find the time for pole. Sits in P4. Klaffenbach in P5 for R8G. And Ryan Bakar in P6. Nelson Alves, Shinaka Clay, Luca Rapassa, Tomasetto Olea will finish out here in qualifying 3, and this is where we go. This is where we now wait and be ever patient. Don't go anywhere. You're going to see an intermission screen for a couple of minutes while we get to the lobby restart. Get the drivers set up and in their correct positions, and then it is all-out attack for 27 laps. A battle of attrition, a battle of the minds, and a battle of strategies. But again, don't go anywhere. You've got a lot of action yet to come your way as we wait out for 27 laps of action.
And we are back. You are seeing the commentator's corner. What I can tell you is the countdown has begun. All the drivers are reset in their lobby, in their respective positions, to get the grid ready to rock and roll for what is 27 laps here at the Suzuka circuit. Things are about to ramp up, things are about to get spicy, and all eyes are on this lap 1 opening start, where the drivers are going to try and make the most moves, are going to try and make the most positions up, because that is crucial in this race to get there in the first lap. As you see, they go into a tyre management phase after a couple laps time, but be sure to keep your eyes on them. If they get close enough and an opportunity arises, best sure they will try and take that position away from their rival. It is all yet to play out. 27 laps, round 2 in season 2 here in RaceTech, and the championship is still well up in the air, and any team right here and now could take the lead. It just takes one disaster race, one instance. As you know, this is racing. Anything can happen. One corner, one turn of a dime can change everything. All perspectives, the whole race dynamic flipped on its head. Now we are getting ourselves ready. There is 27 laps, 2 laps literally, and then we have to get going for what will be, who do we secure the win? Is it another masterclass strategy from Caraton to take 2 victories in a row, or will R8G, your constructors leaders, finally get the victories they're hoping for? They've had a double podium. Will they make it a 1-2 following on from what has been a 2-3 in round 1? We're going trackside. Don't go anywhere. The drivers are getting ready. The race is about to begin. Oh, the anticipation, the build-up is starting to elapse. Everybody's getting themselves ready. Setups, strategies, fuel load, everything these drivers must take into consideration, and all factors lead one way. Who can take that P1 position when the checkered flag comes, and who will secure the most points for their team and help them along in this championship? I think you still have 6 rounds to go after this one, so 6 more chances for these drivers to help their teams along and help themselves along. Because again, do not forget, there is a drivers' championship up for stakes. There is a prize fund for that drivers' champion, where the teams are all working together to take that top €1,000 prize fund. So do keep your eyes on. Let's have a little chat with our chat, shall we say. Predictions, put them in. I want to see who you think is going to win. I want to know who you think, which team will score the most points out of everybody on consistent point finishes here. Inside that top 10 is where you want to be. That's the double points finishes, not the single points where you get the likes of 9, 8, 7, 6 outside of that top 10. All for those double numbers. If you take P1, that's 32 points for your team and 32 points for you in the drivers' standings. P2, 27, and P3, 24. So there is a subtotal of 59 points you can score for your team. You secure that 1-2. And that is what matters for the team more than most. But for you as a driver, 32 points. If you win, sounds like more than enough incentive to try and take that checkered flag and be the victor and the fastest of them all, the best of the rest. Oh, I hate this part. The anticipation, the build-up. It's intoxicating. The adrenaline starts to rise as 20 cars go barreling down at top speed as fast as they can into turn 1, looking for open doors, opportunities, and here we go. We are 3, 4, 5 lights. The grid is hot. The drivers are ready, and it is all go, go, go. And it's a beautiful getaway from your pole sitter, immediately looking to cover off what has been a beautiful start from Tomascal, looking for the inside line into turn 1. Oh, there goes Julian Klaffenbach, has gone wide, skateboarding across the apex, and he's fallen to the back of the grid. That's a disaster for R8G. We were just saying before the race began, can R8G get another double podium? And one of the drivers have been knocked well and truly out of contention, but it's a clean getaway from Monster. Declan Barrett goes side by side, getting past on Tomasetto Alea. Alea has now opened the door for Alexander Damas to try and have a go as they go side by side toward the Degners. Around the outside goes Damas, running it through the white lines. That's got to be a warning from you, as we see a tier 10 driver struggling and squabbling. The Degner 2 He's now under attack from Pasquale Ranelli to the inside. That's Alex Santana under threat, and now here comes Nando Moreira to try and pick up the pieces. Santana's falling back. Pasquale Ranelli's through, and the battle still unfolds before your very eyes for P14 between Santana and Moreira. Santana runs deep, so does Ranelli, and through goes Moreira, looking for that opportunity. Like I said, any mistake, any open door, and you best believe those drivers are going to take it. And for the lower end of the points, the action is certainly coming your way. Can Nando Moreira hold it out? Can he hold this position as we see looking left, looking right? There goes Alex Santana looking for an opportunity. Gets the inside line now on Pasquale Ranelli out of the Cassia triangle, and he's left him a sitting duck for Julian Klaffenbach. Klaffenbach for the outside line, burning the battery side by side. The swapping positions neck and neck as we go into turn one, and through goes Klaffenbach. A beautiful position taken. And what a start we've had. What an opening lap we've had. Plenty of action and carnage. Well, not so much carnage, but plenty of chaos. It's a disaster for Klaffenbach. Fell all the way out of contention. But here comes Tomas Gal, looking for an opportunity on Halliday. If Halliday leaves an open door, best believe it will be taken. Tyre allocation, the front three on the medium compounder tyre, and it's hards all the way down the order till you get to the Vroom boys at the bottom of the grid. They had to start mediums, they have to make inroads, they had to use the softer compound and try and make positions, having that disaster qualifying start. All in all, we're starting to settle a little bit. I'll tell you who's not settling down. It's your front runners. These three staying mighty close together, waiting for any opportunity, any open door. But as the heat starts to pump into those tyres, the chances of them dropping it, making an early mistake, become ever slim and ever slighter. But we look now at this huge DRS train. Jan Halliday covering off what could have been a potential attack or a dive bomb from Tomas Gal. But I think Gal is waiting for the DRS, waiting for the easy pass. And here we see Fabrizio Donoso moving out of that dirty air, already thinking about tyre management. Further back, more cars moving out of that dirty air, thinking about tyre management, and we're just getting going on lap 3. No moves coming your way. Klaffenbach sticking hot on the heels of Alex Santana, needs to try and make some inroads after that disaster start. His strategy a factor now, as Valentino Labella's had a moment and has fell back, and is now potentially under a little bit of a back foot while trying to get resettled, as the Vroom boys are just falling away 8/10 to Labella. And that could prove to be the denominating factor. If they lose DRS, they're going to lose even more time coming down that main straight. They cannot afford to lose it. Jordan Motte has a huge, tremendous responsibility now to try and keep his team in the DRS. He has his teammate behind him, Max, who's also crucially relying on Jordan to keep within that DRS potential, or they're just going to drop time and lose time every single lap. You see Pasquale Ranelli has almost dropped that DRS. He's fighting hard to get back into that 1 second out of Spoon Curve, and just about manages to do so. Tomas Gal maybe challenging for the lead there. No challenge to come. Got very, very close, within a 10th, but no dive bomb. He's playing it smart. He knows that any risk, any manoeuvre, anything that could cause him to slip up could mean race ending. And for the team, that is not what you want. You want to score points. You want to have a chance at winning the race and scoring the highest points possible for your team. It's Julian Klaffenbach, who has a tremendous work cut out for him. And he's already making up a little bit of time. Pasquale Ranelli is at a moment, he's lost positions there to Oscar Furheim as well, as we keep our eyes on the front three, who could potentially bring us a battle in a couple of laps' time when the tyres start to show their age. Who has saved them the best, as we already saw Donoso moving out of the dirty air on lap 2, already thinking about that tyre management. See gaps start to form now. Gaps start to open up as drivers are just trying to manage the tyres. It's very crucial, very important, especially for these hard runners. They want to go as long as possible into the race. Keep those mediums as fresh as possible for the final stint. I can only presume that we are running one-stop strategies here in Suzuka. I don't think the tyre degradation is that bad.
But when you look at the likes of Qatar, for example, that is when you think to stop may be the faster strategy to run on. Looking further back, Nando Moreira's getting very close to the back of Joe Marquardt, looking for potentially a move on the outside, later on the brakes, but just cannot seem to squeeze that Venturi car any closer in overtaking. It was a good effort, but could not get there. Oscar Ferraheim with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Not too bad, not too shabby, I've got to say. Beautiful lap time to have. And looking back, Nelson Alves now looking to get a little bit hot on the heels of Ryan Bakar. Can we find an opportunity for the Williams driver to line up behind his teammate, and then you can see the team tactics, the teamwork as they work together and try and claw through the field. Alvaro Carreton doing very, very well to stay where he is though, and was looking very quick in qualifying 2, just couldn't find the pace in Q3 and has sat in P4 since the start of the Grand Prix. No changes in your lead. The only changes you have seen are from those in the mid-pack and further back, from the likes of Klaffenbach with a disaster start. But for Max Morel, he has dropped the DRS to his teammate, and you can just see how much time loss is incurred within a lap. 1.7 behind. As expected, everything slows down. The management starts to unfold. Drivers allow gaps to form, but not too much of a gap. Just enough where they've got a chance at breaking dirty airs. Julian Klaffenbach looks to the inside line and there's contact with Alex Santana. It may have to allow that position back to Santana, but nevertheless, Klaffenbach is going to try and hold it. Open the door for Oscar Ferraheim. And there's a wiggle from Santana saying, nope, that was naughty that, you shouldn't have done that. Here comes Ferraheim to challenge Klaffenbach into turn 1, but does not have an opportunity to make a move and take the position away. This battle has broken the DRS to Moreira ahead, and that is certainly what Santana's potentially frustrated about. You can see time loss happen, time loss unfold, with Klaffenbach having a little bit of clean air as we come through the S's, has been able to find some time, has not been struggling with understeer, but it's not enough time to break that DRS, that 1 second, but he's certainly sending it through the Degners with malicious intent to get back in that 1 second, and does so. Pascal Irinelli further back, fighting away with Santana. Can he find a move through? No, he cannot. Santana holding out on that P16 is under a bit of threat as that moment has cost him. Have we got any damage on the TF10's car? We'll have to keep our eyes peeled on that front wing for any signs of visible damage. I'm not that posh. I don't have a telemetry. I can't tell you if they've got a percentage of damage. This was set up in a last minute thing. That's why you don't see your fancy sector times that were provided for you in round 1. But here in round 2, we're just trying to hold the curve and bring you some mighty fine racing action. You see the toes, the slipstreams being broken once again, apart from that of Nando Moreira, who's tucked in nice and tightly, looking to potentially pull off an overtake on Joe Marquardt, just not close enough. Lap 7 of 27. And when do the medium tyres start to show a drop off in their age? You normally see around lap 7, mediums start to get a little bit squirrely, a little bit worse for wear, and you maybe potentially see some drop off. I've seen the mediums run as long as 13 laps, 14 laps on some tracks, but here in Suzuka, with the way these corners come at you, you need to be cautious and careful and focus on managing that tyre degradation, because this abrasive track is taking victims and is absolutely... Oh, here we go. Is that VSC? We've had a moment. What's happened? We have had a moment. Maybe Labella. As we see, Labella has fallen to the back of the grid. Has there been a spin? Is that debris on the track? We are under virtual safety car. There you go. No front wing on the TRT's car. And that is disaster for Labella. Lawrence, if you're still watching, gonna have his head in his hands. Into the pits, Fabricio Donoso to get off the medium compound tyre. Now, was that the bold, smart choice? Is that the strategy that could be race winning? As you see Halliday to Masgal, and of course, the Vroom drivers go one lap longer. You see Labella pit ultimately to change that wing. It is going to be needed if you want to see this Grand Prix through. You're going to lose way too much time lacking that front end downforce. Well, you need it for the likes of Sector 1. Need it for even Sector 2. I'm talking Degners. I'm talking 200R. I'm talking Spoon Curve. You need the downforce on a track like Suzuka. You need the rotation on that front end. And nevertheless, for Labella, lost it all in just one corner. That just shows you how the race can change, and we are back to green flags. We are back to racing. Halliday pulls off a beautiful start. Alvaro Caraton, 1.5 seconds behind. Tomascal was not caught out, not asleep by any means. He's well and truly within DRS potential to pull off an overtake. These two, I suspect, will be battling it out all race long. It's a battle of attrition, a battle of the wits, and a battle of strategies between these drivers. But more than what's important, I'm sure these guys have got engineers watching. I'm sure they've got engineers helping them along and looking at their lap times, their deltas, their tyre wear to determine just what they need to do, what could be the race victory. Tomascal moving out of that dirty air, as we mentioned before, trying to preserve what little of the medium tyres life they may have throughout this first stint. Take a quick little look at the tyres once again. Labella boxed for the mediums, starting on the hards potentially, I believe. So mediums now potentially two-stop strategy for Labella. Has had that disaster, lost the wing, had to box for the wing, and he's quite far behind. Oh, I apologise. Fabricio Donoso he's got Max on his rear, but Max is struggling in Sector 1. He's not able to pull any time gain on Donoso. Donoso has brought the DRS at the back of the field. So now Max is just running the best race possible, trying to score any point possible to help Vroom along. Vroom at the bottom of the standings, as mentioned before. Gap between Fab and P1. How am I supposed to know? I will pull that up for you. Is it the detail? No. Can't remember how to do it. There is a keybind for it. I just can't remember which one it is. But I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Gap to leader. 19 seconds. Right, that's the lap. I know there's a keybind for it, but I've forgotten the keybind. But Donoso is 19.3 seconds off the leader. So he's got quite a lot to gain in terms of gain time. Boxing under safety car has indeed. But he's got traffic in the way if he's trying to make inroads. Will Gibson with the beautiful technical information there. Thank you very much. 5-second gain on that safety car pit stop. Virtual safety car pit stop has gained Donoso 5 seconds, and he's now broken what was 19.3 to 19 and on the cusp of an 18-second gap. We're going to reset that back to interval. We'll keep an eye on that gap as it drops over this open incoming stint, and we'll have to keep our eye on when Halliday is going to pit. But of course, Halliday is going to be undercut. The question is... excuse me. Sneezing. Right when I was about to say something. What a time to sneeze. Well, excuse me. Donoso has got to make those tyres last the distance now, which is well and truly possible on the hard compound of tyre. I've seen them do quite a lot of miles, but how will they feel towards the end when ultimately he may be caught just on tyre deficit Maybe caught up towards the final closing laps. May have gained 5 seconds, but may lose it in the tyre degradation as the laps unfold. On board with the front runners, which have P1 down to P8 before you see a break in the train to Alexander Damas, and then another train running down to P16, where you see Jordan Mopti 4 seconds off and Donoso 3 seconds off Mopti. Luca Rapassa starting to make gains on Shanaka Clay, but he's not able to find any opportunity to pull off any overtakes. We'll wait to find out on that DRS straight if any cars are close enough for an overtake. As we see Declan Barrett just behind, and there you see Damas 2 seconds back trying to chase down this DRS, but it's Declan Barrett who may be kicked out of it. Oh, that was very, very close. Very close. Was he within the 1 second? Oh no, the DRS detection point's well further back. Never mind. I've just looked at the map to where the detection point is. And I think Barrett is well and truly safe within DRS. Or is he not? I don't think he is. The rear wing was not open. I think Declan Barrett did lose DRS. Fighting hard to get back in it. That is a fact. Alexander Damas, 2.4 behind. Can't make any inroads without being within that DRS. You see the gap open. 3/10 gain for the rest of the grid over Damas. The front 8 runners gain 3/10 over Damas. Damas is struggling to pull back any time, even in sector 1. Maybe a 10th, maybe a 10th and a half. He's pushing it very aggressively to get back within the DRS. Valentino Labella moving past Max now, as Max is in the pits, as maybe this is the strategy that could see Vroom pull some points. If not, they will be at the back of the grid. We are still waiting for these front runners to implement the... Oh, my bad. I was meant to press D, not T. For... Oh my god, it's put it up again. I was meant to press D, not T. I apologise. I know that shouldn't happen. You'll never see that again. That's my apologies. We'll never see telemetry again. That's not something that should be shown on stream. It can give advantages to certain people. But for Declan Barrett, who's just following on this train, not really much of an advantage that he can gain. He's just trying to follow on suit. Here we see Halliday, 11 laps on those mediums, and he's now swapping them out for what will be a 15-lap haul on the hard tyres, including this lap, if you want to get technical. Tomas Gal running 1 lap longer could prove to lose a couple seconds. You know, Halliday needs the outlap of a lifetime to gain some time on Tomas Gal. But it's Alvaro Caraton now leading the way. Tomas Gal just behind. Have I missed something here? When did Caraton move up into the lead? I apologise, I've missed something. This is why it's nice to have a core comms when you're running solo. You do miss a couple things, but I'm doing my best to get everything on the stream. Oh my word. Apparently... Oh, he has. He has come out not too far behind. Just a couple seconds. So even Donoso did gain under that safety car pit stop, but not as much as he'd like to. There's not that big open gap you would have expected to see. There is a couple seconds, but Halliday has much fresher tyres and can push a little bit harder to gain on Donoso though. I'll keep my eyes on Tomas Gal, who I expect to see in the pits anytime now to try and cover off that undercut potential. There we go, Tomas Gal is in. Caraton continues to lead, and further back, nobody else is looking for any inroads under DRS. No overtaking opportunities to come your way. The gaps are well and truly open. Our predictions in the chat. Predictions in the chat. Let me see who you think may be the victor here. The winner. The one who takes the cream cake at the top step of the podium. Give me some predictions and we shall see if they come to fruition. Oscar Furaheim. Oh, Beautiful little battle there. We missed the overtake, but did manage to get through. On Nando Moreira still hot on the heels though, at a 200R. He's not going to let that go without a fight. The Venturi driver looking to try and challenge back for that position. Every point matters. And 1 lap difference, as mentioned, Tomas Gal, 2.5 behind Jan Halliday. So 2.5 second gain for Jan Halliday with that undercut, but he's made 1.2 seconds up on Fabricio Donoso, just having those fresher tyres. Tyres are now displayed on your screen as we see more drivers into the pit lane to swap them out. Now you do know the mediums can go 12 laps. You've seen it happen. So Moreira and Feraheim are going to test that strategy now in the second stint, slapping on those yellow walled tyres. You see a lot of the white wall tyre. Sorry, I had to do the accent. When you come to Luigi's, you get the white wall tyres. Everybody on the white wall tyres, as we keep our eyes on those who are going to pit. When are they going to pit? Alvaro Caraton has bridged a 2.5 second gap, so that could cover any undercut threat if Ryan Bakar was to box now. Anybody else, Shinaka Clay, Rapasa, Declan Barrett, all covered off. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that, Jonah. I think I agree with you on that one. We should expect to see a wave of pit stops from the front 6 drivers. If they do not, it could be a bit of a head loss. But again, I like to see them extend the hard tyres. That will give them the fresher mediums towards the end, and then they can defend any onslaught or push harder to make those positions back up. Caraton goes 1 lap longer. What about Ryan? Into the pits. So does Shinaka Clay, whereas Nelson Alves goes another lap with a Rapasa and Declan Barrett. Pascal Iranelli also following suit. No, it wasn't. It was Alexander Damas following suit into the pits. Medium tyres are getting slapped on. Yellow wall tyres getting slapped on. And here we get ready for what will be an electric 11 laps. The second stint starting to come underway. We still have 9 cars yet to implement a pit stop strategy, and as you can look at that gap between Halliday and Donoso, with a 5 lap tyre difference, it was 2.8 just a few laps ago. He's now 1.5, and Halliday has almost got a whiff of DRS, has almost got the chances to gain ever more time on his current rival Donoso ahead. Donoso going for that early pit stop under the virtual safety car. A bold, risky strategy, but the tyre difference is starting to show. Bold prediction there from Jonah Martins. Nelson, Luca, Declan, P6, 7 and 8 running off the strategy that they are currently holding. Now, Jonah Martins, I believe you are a strategist yourself, so I'm going to resort to your expertise and take that as a prediction, and we'll see if Jonah Martins is correct on this prediction. Will we see Nelson, Luca and Declan 6, 7 and 8 to Pascal? Fastest lap of the Grand Prix. More pit stops coming your way for Nelson Alves and Tomasetto Alea slapping on the medium tyres. Oscar Feraheim takes that fastest lap away from Tomas Gal. Oscar proving to have the fastest race pace, but did not have the fastest qualifying pace. Held the fastest lap in the first stint, now has the fastest lap in the second stint, which is a beautiful statistic to have. You're the fastest under race pace, but not quite there when the qualifying is needed. Well, that is something that you can certainly improve on over time. Shinaka Clay, hot on the tail of Ryan Bakar. Both going with the same pit stop strategies. Nelson Alves comes out just behind those two. And as you can see, the gap between Halliday and Donoso is now
half a second. We'll go on board with this ever-evolving battle that we've been waiting to happen for a couple of laps. Joris Krozen not racing with us here tonight. As you can see, we have Klaffenbach and Tomascal. On board with Donoso as Halliday hot on the rear. DRS enabled for Halliday. He's getting closer and closer. The 10th chip away. Moves to the inside. Easy overtake. Textbook stuff. They show you this. Lesson 1 of overtaking with DRS. If have DRS and close enough, move to an open line and pass freely. Textbook stuff, as you expect, with the tyre difference between the two. Now, eyes on Halliday to see if Halliday can break the DRS to Donoso behind, or if Donoso is going to push a little bit harder to stay within that 1 second. Oh, his singing voice is getting a little tickly. Alex Santana's letting cars through. Yet to box. He's run very, very long into this first stint. 17 laps. Same as the likes of Caraton, Klaffenbach, Marquardt and Ranelli. They are running extremely long. Could we see a hard to softs? The softs certainly cannot be a strategy to think of. 3-4 laps in, they're dead. They're slipping, they're sliding. You can see this from flappers. Never mind putting them on as a race strategy. Into the pits goes Caraton, Klaffenbach, Marquardt and Ranelli to follow suit. Your front four finally boxing and swapping off those hard tyres onto the mediums, where we see Halliday, Paul Sitter back in the lead with Donoso chasing behind, and Tomascal also trying to catch up with 1 lap tyre difference to your race leader and a 6 lap tyre difference to Donoso. You expect Gal to make huge inroads and make an easy pass on Donoso, as those tyres now 11 laps old on the TRT's car. We're feeling a little bit worse for wear. Valentino Labella into the pits to implement what will be the final pit stop of a 2-stop strategy, if that's how things are to play out. Having to box with that wing damage is going to see out the rest of the Grand Prix. Swaps for hards, another set of hard tyres. So going for the harder tyre allocation, having 2 sets of hards over 2 sets of mediums for Labella. And everybody's done their pit stops. The second stint is now in full swing, and we keep our eyes peeled for any battles yet to come. Nelson Alves getting close to the rear of Shanaka Clay. Is there a move to come under DRS? The Williams duo are looking to potentially, maybe, work together, team tactics, and make huge inroads. Oh, Halliday's broken a 1 second gap to Tomascal and Donoso. Donoso struggling on those tyres now, has been passed by Gal. Gal needs to push hard now to stay within that DRS, dragging Donoso along. And here we see Santana finally into the pits after 19 laps. A stellar stint on those hard tyres. Slaps on the yellow wall mediums and will have the freshest out of the entire grid. Klaffenbach 3 seconds for track limits. Race damaging, race crushing, and with a 1.5 second to Marquardt. Ranelli hot in the tail of Marquardt. That will be a 2 position drop for Klaffenbach so far. And now the second stint is in full swing. 7 laps to go before we crown your race victor, which is looking very much so like it could be Jan Halliday or Tomascal. Tomascal was proving to have stellar pace in qualifying, saying fastest laps, but then was absolutely stunted by that of Alvaro Caraton, and then in qualifying 3 was stunted ever more by Jan Halliday. A beautiful lap from Halliday to take pole position, and has led all the laps until we had the mixing strategies where drivers run longer, and he's now back into the lead, but has always been technically
net lead apart from Denorso's chance of an undercut, which was inevitably going to be a failing strategy just on how much those tyres are going to drop off. Caraton moves up. Shanaka Clay is looking to try and fight off and fend off Nelson Alves, who's looking to potentially make a move on that Racing Bulls car and potentially line up behind his teammate where the Williams duo can make inroads. Bad Bull finish behind, so make it 5, 6, 7. So Jonah Martins with an updated prediction: 5, 6, and 7, not 6, 7, and 8. That being Nelson Alves, Luca Rapassa, and Declan Barrett. 5, 6, and 7. For Jonah Martins. Fabi's going to defend like hell, says another chatter. And we are loving the interactions in the chat. Let's have your predictions in. Who is your race victor? Who is going to bring some battles? And who do you think is going to finish ahead of others? You can give a prediction all the way down the order. You can say, I think Damas may get P9, Declan Barrett P6 if you wish, but Alvaro Caraton is fighting away with Donoso. As expected, the tyre difference over those two is just mighty fine. But now this lines up Caraton for a chance to fight Tomas Gal for P2 and potentially looking to chase down victory number 2 of season number 2 here in RaceTech. Caraton is setting off the season with an absolute bang and could be chasing down that €500 prize fund for the drivers' standings. But this is absolutely crucial for Williams as well to make sure that Nelson Alves as well makes the checkered flag. Oh, Donoso! 3 seconds! That's damaging! That's massively damaging! Unless we see something go to the stewards, Donoso is going to lose out huge points here because you see the train is starting to catch back up. You see Declan Barrett within the DRS. This could be a loss all the way down to P9 for Fabricio Donoso. Disaster there for Donoso. But nevertheless, needs to make huge inroads now. Those tyres are struggling. Those tyres are slipping. Donoso boxed way too early. Yeah, I think Fab needs to call it a day there. Pitting under virtual safety car was not ideal, was far too early. And here you can see, now here comes Shanaka Clay and Nelson Alves. Easy pickings! Oh, that was very, very close to disaster. Very close to contact between Alves and Donoso. Donoso's just having the disaster strategy. Jordan Mopti picking up 3 seconds for track limit violations. Keep it within the light lines, gentlemen. It's not too difficult. Unless you have an incident, that is. Unless you have an accident. It's just an incident into one of the corners. Understeer is also a crucial factor. But Halliday is absolutely chilling, but he needs to keep an eye on his rear views. 4-lap old medium tyres for Alvaro Caraton. He's moved through on Gal, and he may potentially move through on Halliday. The prediction was for Halliday to win, but Alvaro is going to win with a master in strategy and holding out this pace. It's 2 for 2 for Caraton if he can pull this one out of the bag. It was the same in Belgium. It will be the same in Suzuka. It was a risk. I've got to agree with Gibson on this. It made him look good, I'd say that, because it was a risk. It was a bold strategy to try and play out. But eyes on the front, eyes on Halliday, eyes on Caraton, as there goes our Halliday looking to not defend too hard. He's letting Caraton through. He knows it's inevitable, but now needs to push very hard to stay within the DRS because Caraton's tyres are going to start to wear out within the next 3 laps. But he's got plenty of life in the bank
to push very hard, very aggressively through these S sections. You can see the tense gaps start to open up, and this is a beautiful camera angle, I've got to say, as we look at the distance start to form over Jean Halliday. There's nothing he can do through that Sector 1, and there may be nothing he can do through Sector 2. There it is. The 1 second has broken. Caraton is absolutely flying. And as expected from the Williams driver, he's won 1. Why can he not win 2? Halliday now, crucially, needs to push a little bit harder, get back within the DRS, because you've got Thomas Gall, who could be hot on his heels to pick up P2 and force Halliday down another position. Shanaka Clay is also within that DRS as well as Nelson Alves, the Williams teammate. Can the Williams teammate of Alves make any more inroads and help Williams along in the Constructors? This will be another guaranteed 32 points from Caraton as he starts to bridge an ever-exceeding gap over Jan Halliday. But it's all for Nelson Alves, to try and help them along and move up on SCI, who currently only have Oscar Furheim and Shanaka Clay scoring some, I would say, mid points. As long as Shanaka Clay can stay ahead of Nelson Alves, it holds out a little bit more hope for the fight for SCI and Williams. But Nelson Alves is well and truly within the DRS. He's well and truly hot in the heels of Shanaka Clay. Two seconds now for Alvaro Caraton as we get around about 2.5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Caraton looks like it is a 98% chance that he is going to secure 2 for 2 in Season 2. And what a drive it has been for the Williams driver. Nelson Alves, we've still got eyes on this. He's looking to potentially move up on Shanaka Clay. They're currently rivals for the teams in the standings. Caraton will make it 64 points in the drivers' standings, and Julian Klaffenbach, his closest rival, is not scoring that many points. He's only going to get 9 in this one, which will put him on 36 in total, almost half away from Caraton. Joris Krozen was the second closest and has not even raced in this round, so he's losing massive points in this one. But now we get going on the penultimate lap for most drivers. Again, Nelson Alves trying to close up, trying to get closer to Shanaka Clay. It's crucial he finishes ahead of the current Constructors' rival. It's not so much crucial in terms of the drivers. Still got 6 rounds to pull back some much needed points, but Nelson Alves did not finish round 1 and did not have any points on the board. Shanaka Clay is also on the standings. P4, 22 points, so it will be crucial that he finishes ahead of Shanaka Clay for Alves. Unless Shanaka can make it 2 for 2 P4s. That would be impressive. It's P4 in round 1, and it'll be a P4 in round 2, securing another 22 points for SCI. Can he hold off what is a faster Nelson Alves, having the faster tyre, but are the tyres holding up well for Alves over Shanaka Clay? Thomas Gall, no, this could be the moment. All eyes on this fight for P2, as Thomas Gall could be challenging Halliday for the podium spots. Down we go, out of the final corner, burn the battery, rear wing is open. No potential opportunity coming, easy for Thomas Gall. Closing, but not close enough. Halliday may have secured this P2, but just look how close he is out of turn 2. Look how hot on the rear Thomas Gall is on Halliday, but still no open opportunity to come their way. It is all for Caraton to take a 2 for 2 double victory back to back as we get going now into Sector 2. Caraton hits that Sector 2 split. The battle for P2 still ongoing between Halliday and Thomas Gall, and we'll watch on. There's only one more potential opportunity where you can overtake. It's not in the hairpin, it's in 130R. Get the power on the exit, getting the slipstream, trying to hook it up for the Cassia triangle. Later on the brakes, all eyes on Tomascal. Round spoon curve we go. Caraton 3.3 seconds ahead with a masterclass in strategy, a masterclass in racing knowledge, and of course the driver that can deliver the pace for the victory. Alvaro Caraton just a few corners away from victory, but we're still on board with Tomascal. Is he close enough? Can he get close enough? I don't think he can. The tents start to close, the gap starts to close, but still not close enough. Eyes back to Caraton as he crosses the checkered flag. It's 2 for 2 for Williams. A double race victory as Halliday takes P2 and Tomascal for RAG takes P3. Shanaka Clay makes it 2 P4s in a row. Nelson Alves crucially scoring a points finish for Williams, which should push them higher up. Maybe, just maybe, Tomascal scored a high points finish, but Klaffenbach did not. Are they there to take the lead for the Williams team, or are they still looking to chase down in round 3? Whereas Luca Rapassa lines up in 6th. Declan Barrett, Ryan Bakar, Oscar Furheim, Fabricio Donoso with a disaster strategy boxing on the virtual safety car. Only good enough for P10. Klaffenbach, Alexander Damas, Nando Moreira, Tomasetto Alea, Joe Marquardt, Pasquale Ranelli, Alex Santana, Jordan Mopti, Valentino Labella again. Disaster race for Labella on the opening couple laps, picking up damage, forced into two-stop strategy. Sees that P19 where we see Max Morale at the bottom of the field. Vroom not doing too good. Very low points finishes here. They'll have to come back with a different lineup next time to get some more points and help them along in the standings. But now we go to the final classification and you can see who is the victor. Of course, you can't argue. You can't even contend. Caraton makes it 2 for 2. Double race, back-to-back victories, whereas Halliday secures that P2, Tomascal P3, Shinaka Clay, Alves, Rapassa, Barrett, Bakar, Furheim, Donoso in the top 10, Klaffenbach, Damas, Moreira, Alea, Marquardt, Ranelli, Santana, Mopti, Labella, and Morale finishing off your top 20. It's been a pleasure from my side of things to commentate this round 2 here in RaceTech Championship for season 2. But for now, that is all we've got for you. The race is over and it is another victory for Caraton. Join us next week, same time, same place for round 3, where the action, certainly like tonight, is yet to unfold. But from me, it's been a pleasure and I'll see you next time.